Let's press record. I hope everybody's okay with me recording. Right, I've muted you all. Please feel free to unmute yourselves and ask questions if you want to, or put questions in the chat. Michaela, I'm counting on you to have a look at the chat. I'm Lindsay. I've been working with Thermomix for about 2 years, just over 2 years. I'm a trained chef and run a food business. And I said, actually, I was never going to have a Thermomix because I know how to cook. But, and this is why I'm really passionate actually about people seeing them in action, because it was only when I saw the machine in action that I suddenly changed my mind on Thermomixes. I just thought they were kind of overpriced kitchen appliances that I didn't really need. And then I ended up at a demo, a bit like this one night, but nicer because it was in somebody's house and I was able to go and have a glass of wine and have a nice little social event, which is how we prefer to run them. But thanks to lockdown, we can't at the moment. And I said I'd never have one. And then I went to this demo and saw it in action. I was totally blown away by watching it just make bread and make a very quick, healthy salad. And then we made some soup and we made a main meal. And I started to think about it a little bit differently because I am a busy mum of now 4 children. I'm constantly dashing around. I want to feed my family healthy food cooked from scratch, but it was becoming increasingly difficult. But the Thermomix has just been an absolute godsend since I've had it. And so much so that my children can all use it now to cook meals for themselves. So my eldest, who's now coming up for 14, has been cooking curries from scratch for a couple of years, completely unaided, grinding and making his own spices, making his own curry paste, and then cooking the main curry. I just throw the ingredients at him and he gets on with it with the assistance of the chef in the kitchen telling him what to do. So hopefully I'm going to demonstrate a lot about why I absolutely love Thermomix. I've been with the business now for 2 years. I'm now a team leader. It's an absolute joy to do what I do. I love sharing my passion for food and these machines and how they can help people cook that may be a little bit unconfident in the kitchen, how they can help people cook that don't have the time to cook from scratch like me, but really, really want to, and also how they can help people who already know how to cook push their technical skills to the max. And we're going to show some of those technical skills tonight. So tonight I'm going to attempt to do choux pastry, creme patissiere, lemon curd fillings. Having seen it on Bake Off this week and seeing the contestants make such a hash of it, I thought to myself, they need a Thermomix. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to do in a Thermomix. Then for good measure, we're going to make a hollandaise sauce. I'm going to do some steamed salmon and rice and vegetables. And there's something else. Oh yes, focaccia with sea salt flakes and rosemary as well. So a lot of this won't be finished. Well, actually, no, the choux pastry won't be finished in the time, but I'll show you how to pipe it. I'll bake it later. I'll have to bake the bread later, but I'll upload the pictures to my Facebook group. So if you are part of my Thermomix Whiz Facebook group already, you'll see them. If you're not part of it already, please join, and then you'll be able to stay up to date with Thermomix and what we're all doing with our machines. But it's always lovely to see lots of customers on the call. We run these not just for people that are interested in buying Thermomixes, but also to support our customers. And that is one of the things I love about Thermomix, is that we offer 5-star customer service to customers. We're only, as advisors, we're only a phone call away. You don't get that when you buy any other kitchen appliance. So we are here as advisors to support and help you get the most out of your machines. And that is all part of our service. So when you buy Thermomix, you also join an amazing community of help and support and meet other owners who are just as passionate about their machines as me. So here's the Thermomix. Why is it different to something like a food processor or a NutriPredict? Well, first of all, because it cooks. You can apply heat and you can temperature control it. And that is the reason why Heston Blumenthal has 15 of them, because there's an item on his menu that can only be cooked in a Thermomix because of its precise ability to temperature control, and that is the meat fruit dish on his restaurant, the Fat Duck in Bray. So Michelin-starred chefs all across the world own Thermomixes. Domestic cooks own Thermomixes. We all love them for very different reasons, and people buy them for very different reasons. But it is not just a food processor, a very expensive food processor, as I often hear. We have, now if I can bring you over here, we've got this interactive touch screen right on the front. You can see, if I can get you on the right angle, oh, so much better face to face. So on this touch screen, I've got my recipes loaded. Now this is unlike anything else really that's on the market. You just have to press a button and the recipe starts and it walks you through it step by step. So it tells you what to do, and then you just need to weigh in the correct ingredients using the inbuilt weighing scales, and then it gets on with the other processes as required. But we'll go through all of that. I don't want to spend too long talking at the start because I actually want to kind of get on with cooking really. So Cookie Dough is our online platform. If I just sort of pull it up very quickly. I'm just going to talk about this for a couple of minutes. So this contains 60,000 recipes. You can search it like you would search on Google for anything that you want to cook. So you just put your keyword in, click search, it'll pull up thousands of recipes. You scroll down, select one that you want to cook, press start. So we launch new recipes every single week in the UK and across all 19 or so markets that we're present in. Through the app, you can create your weekly planner. So if I just show you that, let's just press that and go back to my week. You can see that through the app, I've scheduled everything I want to cook tonight already on here. So that makes it, this is what customers actually love, this function, because it saves people a lot of money. You only actually buy what you need to cook. So you can schedule your planner a day, a week, a month, a year in advance if you want to. Then from this planner, you can make your own shopping list of ingredients. So you can tell Thermomix that you want to cook these recipes on these days. It will create a shopping list of ingredients for you. You can edit and amend that. And then just in the last 6 months, we've finally got the facility to be able to shoot that list of ingredients over to your online shopping provider. So we've currently got 4 partners. They are Asda, Sainsbury's, no, Asda, Tesco, Ocado and Amazon Fresh. You can compare prices against the different stores. Asda always comes out cheapest by quite a substantial margin actually. And then once you're happy with what you're ordering, you can sync that with your online delivery slot and get it delivered to your door. All you've got to do is put the ingredients away and then the Thermomix takes over cooking for you. So that is a pretty amazing start really. And that's what many customers buy their machines for this ability to be able to plan their food and save money in the process. But I'm going to start cooking because I don't want my machines to switch off, and then we'll cover a lot of the main points as we're going along. But please feel free to ask me, to stop me and ask questions as we're going along. I want to get on first of all with the choux pastry. So I'm going to load that recipe onto my machine here. Now you'll notice it's got its top hat on. We'll see that in a minute actually. I'm just going to pop that there. And we'll talk about that when I do the main meal. So I'm just going to click start. Now it's asking me to weigh in 150 grams of water. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring you over so you can see what my screen looks like. There we are. And I'm going to try and, oh, this is not going to be very easy actually with this. So I'm going to weigh in 150 grams of water. So it's, choux pastry is really technical. You have to get it right. And the real trick with it when you're doing it, and I've just pulled a little bit too much, obviously, because I am now holding a phone. Let's have a look at that. That will do. I think I've poured a little bit too much out. I'm going to just top it up while I'm not holding you. I'll tell you what, I think it's safest if I just go again, because choux pastry, you have to get the measurements right. So let's click on 0, reset my scales to 0, and just weigh straight in 150 grams. And I'm going to try and do this as accurately as I can. Yeah, 151, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to click on next. Now it wants me to put in 80 grams of unsalted butter, and it's giving me that instruction on the screen. So here's my 80 grams, and it said cut into cubes. So I've already done that. Now, this is one of the things that's really technical about making choux pastry, because when you make it by scratching a saucepan, you have to make sure you control the heat. to bring the water up to the boil and melt the butter at the same time, because you don't want the water evaporating into steam and losing it. So there we go. Oh, my scales are accurate because I measured them on another set of scales earlier. A pinch of salt. So let's pop that in. A little pinch goes in. And 2 teaspoons of sugar. Has anybody made choux pastry? Not in a Thermomix, maybe just by hand, perhaps, or even in a Thermomix? You will feel, I feel your pain if you've made it by hand. There's lots and lots of beating involved. Okay, next.
And nothing on chat, everybody's very quiet.
No, everybody's quiet. Okay, right. Insert the measuring cup into the mixing bowl lid. So it even tells me to put the lid on, which is exactly why it's so good for children, because it really will teach, and people that don't know how to cook, it holds your hand and walks you step by step through the recipe. So there we go. Now, turn the speed selector to speed 1. So now what that's going to do is, it tells you what it's doing at the front, it's boiling. Okay, so my timer is set for 5 minutes. It's going to temperature control it at 100 degrees, and it's just applying a gentle stir. So this 5 minutes, so all our recipes are a sort of a function of time, which is our first style, temperature and speed. Okay, so that's the first part. Now, while that's started, I am going to get on with my, I think, my hollandaise sauce. Has anybody attempted to make a hollandaise? I once went through about 20 eggs trying to make my hollandaise, and it still failed. So this is the great thing about Thermomix, really. It just takes out that unpredictability and that risk from when you really don't want things to go wrong. So you're hosting a dinner party, you've got to make a hollandaise sauce, the guests are waiting, and you're there faffing around with a bain-marie and a saucepan, and it's curdling, and you're adding more eggs to it in hope to rescue it, and nothing's really working. Well, this machine takes out all that variability. So you will be amazed. I'm just going to click start cooking, and it's going to walk me through it step by step again. So I'm going to add in, my first instruction is put some water in. Now I'm going to attempt to halve this recipe because I don't want to, I love hollandaise, but unfortunately my husband's not here tonight. And if I make the whole amount, I'll end up eating it by the spoonful, and my hips will not thank me for that. So I'm just going to take that out and attempt to halve it. I may have to add more in if it doesn't work, but we'll give it a go. Okay, so 10 grams of water. So I'm just going to put in my 5 grams of water. And these scales are accurate to 1 gram, which is really handy. So let's just put in, I've just gone slightly over. Again, a bit heavy-handed. That's because I had, right, let's just take that out.
That's that glass of wine.
That's that glass of wine. That's it. Yes, I know. I shouldn't have had it, should I? Right, hang on. Note to self, don't drink on the job. Okay, right. Hope none of my bosses are watching tonight. Right, 10 to 20 grams lemon juice. So this is going to start the salmon, rice and vegetable dish just by making the hollandaise. So we're making the hollandaise first, and then I'm just going to hold it. Actually, you can hold it in the stainless. By hold it, I mean just keep it warm. Now, if I wasn't doing anything else, I could just keep it warm in the stainless steel jug. But I need my Thermomix just for other things. So I've just got a good old-fashioned food flask there, and I'm going to decant it into there. So it's telling me to add in 10 to 20 grams lemon juice. Now I'm going to actually use white wine vinegar because I prefer the acidity of white wine vinegar in a hollandaise. So there we are, 10 grams of that. You can use either, it's just personal preference. So 150 grams unsalted butter. Now I've actually got some butter here that I made. What was that? I might have made this with you actually a couple of weeks ago. It's lasted in the fridge. I was amazed. I suddenly saw it in my outdoor fridge and thought, oh, I must use that, because normally if you don't get all the buttermilk out, it goes a little bit rancid.
Yeah. It was amazing to see the butter being made, honestly.
Oh, yeah, it is. So butter is something I regularly do at demos actually. But not tonight, because I'm attempting something completely new, a whole new menu, because I'm getting a little bit bored with doing the same things. So let's pop in the butter. Now it says unsalted, but I've got a little bit of salt in here. It's fine. I added some salt in afterwards. Yeah, butter takes 1 minute in a Thermomix from double cream. It is incredible to watch it being done. It's actually worked out about 2/3 of the price of buying a block of butter as well. Right, I've just gone slightly over. I think I'll be all right with that. I'm halving the recipe. Right, 4 egg yolks. So rather than watch me fumble and crack eggs and then muck it up completely, I've already got my 2 egg yolks ready here. So in they go. Drop those egg yolks in. Some salt. Well, I'm not going to put any salt in because my butter was already salted. Okay, I'm not going to put any pepper in. And then all I'm going to do, and you won't believe it, it's as simple as that, is put my lid on. And so I've just weighed in all those ingredients, and then our thickening mode comes on. So on a Thermomix, and I will just show you all these quickly, we have all these modes if you swipe left across the screen. So we've got dough mode, we've got turbo, which is a bit like a pulse on a food processor. We've got a cleaning mode, it cleans itself. It's a blender, it's an egg. We've just now recently got this egg boiler, brilliant, a kettle, warm up. So if you want to reheat something you've cooked earlier, you can warm it up. The thicker mode, which we're about to see, the rice cooker mode. And then on this screen, we've got fermentation, fantastic to make yogurt with, slow cooker and sous vide. Okay, so let's just go back to my recipe. So it's bookmarked it for me. I'm just going to go to that. And then it's telling me it's going to take about 12 minutes. It will depend on the weight of ingredients it detects in there. It's going to cook to 80 degrees, which is why a hollandaise will never go wrong in a Thermomix, because you cannot curdle the eggs. And all I have to do is press start. It's as simple as that. I mean, it's almost too easy, really. I shouldn't actually let people in on my secret, but when I have people for dinner and we do hollandaise or derivatives of like béarnaise, they just cannot believe when they see it done. And actually, I often ask people to do it themselves. Okay, right, my choux pastry is heated up. So what I want to do now, so yeah, that's right, you'll see the steam. I don't know if you can see the steam just coming off of that. Let's show you inside. So the water is boiled, the butter is melted, all at the same time. That is the trick when making choux pastry. I'm just going to click on next. So let's show you the screen. And it says add 120 grams of plain flour. So I'm going to weigh that straight in. Again, let's see if my other weighing scales are accurate. So here's my plain flour. That goes straight in. Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's it. 119, that'll do. Click on next. Now, put the lid on. Insert the measuring cup into mixing bowl lid. So already, Michaela, I've deviated from my plan because I talked too long. I was going to do my bread next, but I need to get my choux pastry. I want to get my choux pastry right. So now it's saying turn speed selector to 4. There we go. So all I'm going to do is just turn that speed selector to 4, and it's going to mix for me. Is it going to mix? Yes, it's mixing. There we go. I couldn't hear it because I've just got I've got somebody else coming in. And I've got something else going on in my ear. Right, mix. So let's let that mix away. Okay, click on next. So remove mixing bowl and set aside to cool for 10 minutes. So there we go. So what I want to do now, you can see lots of steam coming off of that. That's really hot. Before we add the eggs into it, we want it to cool down because that will be at about 100 degrees. So it wants me to remove it. So I will just remove it and set it to one side, actually just behind the machines. And then I'm going to set a timer because I need to make sure I do it at the right time. It's going to beep at me like everything else in this house. And then I'm going to move you along to here, to my third machine. Now, just as a little note, I think people get a bit worried when they see all 3 machines. You don't need to buy 3 Thermomixes. I have 3 Thermomixes because I'm a professional chef. I use them interchangeably all the time. Most of my customers cope on one, but I can't be held responsible if you find you want a second. Now, Michaela's on her second. I think she'd be on her third if she could be. because
Yes,
you've come
absolutely.
to rely on these machines so much. And once you have one, you sort of think to yourself, how on earth did I cook without it? Okay, so I'm going to go onto my third machine, which is actually not a 6, it's a 5. It's a slightly older model, but it's, you know, essentially the same, just a smaller screen, really, and a few less functions. So I'm going to put in 385 grams of water. So I'm going to actually halve this recipe. So I'm not going to put in 385. I did this actually a little while ago, this focaccia, and it makes a massive tray full. And I don't really want that to eat on my own tonight. The kids can have some for school tomorrow, but I'm just going to halve the recipe. And that's good to know that you can halve recipes, because people are worried that they have to make the full amount. And then, you know, they wonder if they sort of live on their own, or if it's a couple, then they wonder how they're going to get through all the food. But actually, no, you can just halve or third or quarter recipes as you need to. So I put the water in. I'm going to click on next, and it wants me to add in 625 grams of bread flour. So it's given me that information, which obviously I'm not going to do. Here's my bread flour. My scales have reset to 0, so I just weigh straight in. So in it goes. Yeah, just double check I am getting the right flour. Handily, I haven't named any of my tubs. I sort of just do it by the fact that one's got an old label on it.
Can you ask
Hello.
if you... Hi, it's Anne here.
Hi,
I'm
Sam.
on my own. So if I reduce the quantities, how does that affect the time it tells me that it's going to cook for?
Most of the recipes it won't affect too much. You might have to manually alter it with something like a risotto.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of recipes on there just for 2 people, for cooking for 2. So you know, it's something that will just come over time with being an owner. You'll just sort of get to know whether you need to knock a few minutes off the cooking time or not. But some people just choose to make the full quantity anyway, and then either freeze it or put it in the fridge as well. Yep. So, you know, you've always got that option. Okay.
Thank you.
So now I want to put some yeast in. It's asking me to put the yeast in. Now, where is my yeast? Oh, I handily stored it on a little tray, so it was out of the way. So it's asking for a teaspoon of yeast. Just put a teaspoon of yeast in. And I am going to use a full teaspoon on this one, actually. Some 30 grams of extra virgin olive oil. So I'm going in with 15, and it's weighing it for me. Click on next, a pinch of sugar. Now, where did I put my sugar? Things just vanish in this kitchen. I swear I've got a little fairy in here, moving things around when I come to want to use them. And a pinch of salt.
Never ceases to amaze you how much you prepare what you don't have to hand, isn't it, Lindsay?
Yeah, I know. It is incredible. Well, it's just finding it in front of me, actually. I can't see what's in front of my own eyes. Right, so now it's asking me to put that lid on. Okay, and it's going to mix the ingredients that I've put in for 1.5 minutes. It's heating it up to body temperature, so that's optimal fermentation temperature for bread, and it's doing it at speed 1. So that's all good. Now, all my machines are in use. What is going on here? So I've got 5 minutes on my choux. I've got 2 minutes remaining, approximately 2 minutes remaining on my hollandaise. So that's probably a good opportunity for me to clear away a few things. If anybody's got any questions for me, or I can just, let's bring you back to the center, or I can talk a little bit more about Thermomix. Now, some of you will know already that a Thermomix costs £1,149. And whenever I say that to people, their jaws drop to the floor and they go, oh, you're kidding me. It's so expensive. Why is it so expensive? I can hand on heart tell you that this machine will save you double that amount if you're using it to its full potential in the year. And that is why so many people choose to invest in them. Now, lots of my customers are not wealthy people. I have people who have really struggled to justify the cost of it, but it's really rewarding. I get lots of messages now on a weekly basis from customers that have decided to take the plunge in Thermomix and telling me how much money they're saving off their shopping. So we would say on average, you would save about £20 a week. I have customers that save themselves up to £50 a week for a variety of reasons, because they're no longer buying processed food, or they're able, but it does so much, yes, or they're able to easily make food from scratch that they would normally buy, or just through that planner function, which means when you're going around the supermarket and you've got your shopping list, you're not buying lots of extra stuff and thinking, how am I going to cook with this for dinner tonight? And we do also have spread payment plans as well, so you don't have to stump up the 1149 all in one hit. You can spread it across 1, 2, and 3 years. Oh, that's fantastic, Selena, to hear that endorsement. I save at least £50. Well, there you go. So it does make a real difference. And, you know, and that's a customer themselves saying that. And there are lots of ways that we can show you how to save money off your food bills, which is the advantage of having somebody like an advisor holding your hand through your journey. Right, let's have a little peek at that. Yes, my hollandaise is done. Okay, how easy was that? I just taught my way through the hollandaise. I'm making choux pastry and I started some bread all at the same time. Let me just show you that. That's my hollandaise sauce. Absolutely perfect. Okay.
That looks gorgeous.
So, I know, it's wonderful, isn't it? I'm going to have to be really disciplined and not eat the whole lot. 75 grams. Yeah, and it's the less washing up as well. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how much less equipment that you get through when you have a Thermomix, actually. It does it all for you and then it washes itself up afterwards. Now, Michaela, I know you wanted to say something. I'm just going to decant this out and
that's
put
okay.
it into my...
So David just asked a question. He said he already makes his meals from scratch every day. So how can he save money? So David, one of the things that I found, because I thought pretty much a scratch cook before I bought my Thermomix, but what I did lose a lot of money on was food waste. I always ended up buying too much, but with the guided recipes, you tend to buy what you need. And if you do have anything, because your plan changes slightly. So today I had soft peppers going soft in the fridge. So rather than wasting those, I made a roasted red pepper pasta sauce for lunch. So if you are already a scratch cook, that's welcome. You will really enhance that with the Thermomix. But, you know, it's more about then reducing your waste, reducing food waste, reducing your plastic waste, and really using all the food that you actually buy.
Yeah, no, absolutely, great points. And I get asked this question a lot. And actually, I did a face-to-face demo a couple of weeks ago, and I had a scratch cook who is an owner, and she said to me, "Do you know what? I've gone through my food bills and I am still saving." And she said, "I can't believe it, because I thought I cooked from scratch, you know, for the majority of time." And I am still saving. Sorry, I've just got to have a little taste of my hollandaise. It's my absolute favourite thing in the kitchen, especially with homemade butter. She's still saving £10 a week. Now, that is pretty phenomenal, actually, because if you think of Thermomix costs just £36 a month on a 3-year plan, that's the cost offset to start with. Now, if you're a scratch cook, I would say to you, are you making your own yogurts from scratch? Are you making vegetable stock paste from scratch? Are you making jams, chutneys, curds, all these other things from scratch? There's lots and lots of stuff that you can do from scratch. Are you making butter from scratch? That as a scratch cook, you wouldn't normally think to do, because it might just not occur to you, or it might just take too much time, or you don't have the right gadget for it. But with a Thermomix, you've got a gadget that does about 25 things in one. So if it can be done, there's a function for it on here. So there's lots of different ways that you can save money still being a scratch cook. But of course, you can go the other way, a bit like me, because I was a scratch cook as a chef. And I end up spending loads more money because I just keep going and I keep playing and I keep experimenting and I love it. But, you know, that's my hobby and my passion and my business as well. And I like to make the mistakes so that my customers don't. Okay, right. I just want to get this bread finished off. In fact, no, I'm going to get the choux pastry done. That's called for 10 minutes. I will get the bread finished off. Yeah.
Can you, so from Michelle, can you plan around a family of 7 or 9, or would you need to do a recipe twice?
Now, I'm a family of 6, Michelle, and I would say there are many recipes on there. The bolognese, the ones in the sauce, so the soups, the stews, the curries, the bolognese, that would definitely feed 8 portions. The risottos you might struggle with. You would probably get 6 portions tops out of a risotto. Yeah, so you may just need to, well, get a second Thermomix. There you go, that's it sorted. You can cook for 12 then. Quite comfortably. Right, I'm going to go back to my choux pastry recipe. Michaela, I don't know if you've got any thoughts on that. I know you quite regularly cook for dinner parties for a big gang.
Yes.
Don't you?
Yeah. So some of the dishes don't lend itself, because they do say therefore main courses are for 4, 6, and sometimes 7. But things like I have done a whole roast. So I've done a 2-kilo chicken that I marinate and steam, and I've cooked the veggies, and that's fed 8 people. You can also do a whole up to about 2-kilo joint as well, rolled joint. So some of the recipes do lend for themselves. I think where I've used it with other friends is when I am cooking for a large amount of people, I do things like a big vat of mashed potatoes, or steaming multiple layers of vegetables all in one go in that one appliance. So, and then I might go off and, I don't know, cook one dish in the oven. So it definitely helps me when I'm cooking large quantities, and I can use it for steaming or for preparation. And then obviously when you start doing things like cakes, does massive, great big cake batter mixes. So that's definitely not a problem.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Michaela. Right, I'm going to keep going with my choux pastry now. All I've done with this, because I had the opportunity to while Michaela was talking to us, is set the dough function. So my dough function came on after we heated up the liquid and the flour and the yeast, and it's just kneading away now for 3 minutes. Now the Thermomix has a super fast knead function. It just takes 3 minutes to knead bread. I used to make all my own bread from scratch anyway, sourdoughs, you name it, I've done it. I would always do it in my KitchenAid, which is still buried in the corner there. My poor old KitchenAid has barely been switched on since I got my first Thermomix. It's really just there to look pretty on the countertop now, which is a bit sad really, considering it costs nearly £500, but it just doesn't have the functionality or the speed of a Thermomix. And with this knead function, I can make a dough. I can have dough out and on a table within about an hour and a half, or a loaf of bread. I can have rolls out within just over an hour. I can make all sorts of stuff. It will even do my sourdough for me, which is fantastic. Right, I'm going to stop talking now because I want to get on with the choux pastry. Okay. Right, I can see Michaela's keeping an eye on the chat for me. Right.
So Lolita, I'm just going to pick up a question from Lolita. She's talked about some of the recipes that seem to be asked.
While you're doing that, Michaela, I'm just going to get going with putting, because I don't want this to cool down too much.
Yep.
I'm just going to put my eggs in. So what this machine wants me to do is turn the speed selector to speed 5. So remember, I've got my water and my butter and my flour in here that was all mixed together. Now it's cooled down to 55 degrees. It's telling me so that's fine. So I can put my eggs in without starting to cook them. It wants me to turn the speed selector to speed 5. I've removed the measuring cup from the lid. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to crack the egg in like that, hopefully not get any cells. And it's just going to mix for me. So that's 3 medium eggs are going to go into there. 1. Right, okay, Michaela, you might want to pick up on that question now.
Okay, so it was just saying, Lita asked about doing healthier alternatives, because she feels that it could get quite expensive on the curries, using lots of cream and Greek yogurts and things like that. So yes, and there was another one about adapting menus because of children's picky requirements. So fussy eaters. So the short answer is you can adapt all the recipes. I'm dairy intolerant, so I don't use any dairy products. Lindsay's adapted a really great butter chicken menu recipe, but instead of all the cream, uses a tin of creamed tomato soup. There are a lot of recipes that are not on the cookie platform, but you can Google that support the slimming world. So again, a lot more healthy alternatives. And yes, once you get really familiar with it, you can actually start using the Thermomix for your own recipes once you're really comfortable of how to use it. So you can adapt menus, you can cook your own recipes, you can Google recipes and follow it offline as well. All that is absolutely doable.
Okay, thanks, Michaela, again. Right, I'm going to pick up on this. So that's my choux pastry. Done. Perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to do, it's a struggle. The struggle is real. I don't know quite what to do next. I've got dough needing to come out. I think I'm going to sort my dough out actually. So let's bring, because that can just sit and rise, and then I'll do the choux pastry afterwards. Right, let's just see if I can angle you down onto my work surface. Okay, so I'm going to get my focaccia out next. Now, this is one of the sort of the specialities really of the Thermomix. Actually, a lot of our doughs only require one proof, and they just require a shaped proof. So here's my beautiful dough. You can see it looks really lovely. I'm going to just pop it out. So the base comes off, the blades come out of the Thermomix really easily. I know a lot of people, I mean, I used to have a Vitamix. I sold my Vitamix actually not long after getting my Thermomix, just because I got really troubled by the fact that I couldn't get the blades out, and I couldn't dishwasher. So all of this just goes in the dishwasher, so you can get it super sparkly clean. And so I just felt I could never get my Vitamix clean. And especially with things like when I was making liver pate, I just wasn't 100% comfortable with the fact that I, couldn't get underneath the blades and get it really super sparkly clean. So there's, just going to get that out, that last little bit. So we even give you spatulas. These are Thermomix spatulas. They come with the machine. They're actually really useful for dealing with dough, but also if I can just show you this, you'll see this in a minute. They hook in, this is our simmering basket, and they will also hook into the simmering basket so that when you're cooking, you can lift it out. Okay, so I'm just going to push down this focaccia dough onto my tray like this. I think following the on-screen instructions. What do my on-screen instructions say? With the wet or oiled hands, flatten and spread dough to edges of baking tray. Okay, so let's just flatten that out now. I'm just going to leave this now. I don't really need my oiled hands at all. It's not sticking to me at all. Right, there we go. That's looking nice. So all I'm going to do is now cover it with a little bit of greased cling film, which I know is here, and leave it to one side. So that is my focaccia dealt with. There we are. Right, off it goes. Bit of greased cling film on the top, and I'm just going to leave it to rise and then reassemble my bowl. So blades go back in, tip upside down, base goes on, give it a little twist, and there's my bowl back together. Right, choux pastry. So this is handy because now I've got you where I want you, looking at the work surface. So here I go. Right, here's my choux pastry, absolutely beautiful. Let's just keep, I feel like I need to keep an eye on this chat, but I've got lots going on. So I'm going to do what I do best, and that's cook. Maybe talk a little bit at the same time. Right, so I'm going to put it in my piping bag. I always put my piping bag in a glass. Much easier to fill it. So beautiful, beautiful, easy choux pastry. Who watched Bake Off this week? I felt very sorry for a lot of them, I have to say, when I sort of saw their attempts at choux. And then, and especially their attempts at filling them with a variety of curds and creme patissières and things that were really runny, and in many cases just poured out. And I sat there, and even my little girl, who's 9, said to me, "I think they need a Thermomix, mummy." And actually, Great British Bake Off, they don't use Thermomixes, but you do if you'll spot them now. If you know what you're looking for, you'll spot them on MasterChef. And on MasterChef, the professionals, they're on every bench. And that is because they are professional pieces of equipment that Michelin-starred chefs all over the country and world actually will use and will be used to using in a professional kitchen, because they are just the best pieces of kit you can buy. I know I'm biased, but you know, I've been there. I said they weren't, and now I've had to sort of eat my words, really. So I'm going to get as much out as I can. That's pretty clean. I can just spin that on turbo to clean off the blades. Piping bag up. I'm going to show you a few things, a few ways to pipe. I've just got a flat nozzle in, actually, not a fancy star nozzle. Right, a few different things. First of all, let's get going with some actual shoe. There's some little profiteroles. So can you all see that? Okay, so I'm just going to put little dollops on like that. Don't worry about them pulling up, because we'll flatten them down with a damp finger or a fork. There we are. Don't want them huge. So that's my shoe. These are going to be a monster shoe, actually. Right, let me show you what happens with those peaks. We don't want peaks because they will burn. So I just get a little bit of water in a glass, and with a damp finger or a spoon or a paintbrush, you can just push the tops down like that. Okay. Push them down. So that's those. Just do another line like that. Sort of want them all about the same size, really. That one's got a lovely peak.
So for those that don't know Lindsay, she's very exact in OCD in matching, make sure everything's the right size, the same size, all symmetrical.
Yeah, when I run my kids' cooking workshops, I make them weigh out their cupcakes into cases of precise 50 grams so that they get a perfect cupcake in a case. There you go, that's a little bit of free information for you. So let's just pop that down with a damp finger again. So they look pretty good. So they are little shoe buns for profiteroles. Then if you wanted to pipe eclairs, you can just, can you still see that? So that's an eclair.
See that.
Yeah. So let's just do a little twizzle at the end. So I'll do 4 eclairs. And I was going to be I wasn't sure how much this would make, actually. It's a long time since I've done shoe pastry. Right, let's just pop that down again with a damp finger, so you can just sort of fix any little peaky bits with a damp finger. Here we are. They look good. So that's those. The other thing, I wasn't sure whether I would have enough mixture to do, but why not? There's some little shoe rings, because if you want to make Paris-Brest, which is a really chefy thing to do with a bit of praline paste, you can make praline paste in Thermomix, because you can make caramel. So we've got the high temp, the sugar stage is setting. So we would just pipe a little ring like that, a shoe ring. Okay, it's better really if you do it with a sort of a star nozzle, but I'm not swapping nozzles tonight. Let's just see if I can do another one here like this. Sort of a circular eclair, really. Come out, come out, come out. Just there we are. So what I've done to get a little trick to get these the right size is I've just on the underside traced around one of my chef's rings, so I can make sure I get them all the identical size. So that goes over to one side, and I will just squeeze out the rest of my shoe to make some little buns as well. Oh, that was a bit too close. Right, that'll do. Piping bag down. And then these need to go into a 200-degree oven So I'll just check my oven's at 200 degrees. Yes, it is. Let's pop them in. And I'll set the timer because no doubt I'll forget them. So they go into the oven. Let's have a look on my transfer mixture to a piping bag fitted with a nozzle, pipe balls or sticks, and then bake for 20 to 25 minutes until golden brown. So let's put that timer on for 20 minutes and have a look after 20 minutes. Okay, so bring you back up. How are you all doing? You still with me? Right.
Still got the gang.
Still got the gang. Fantastic. Okay.
Lindsay,
now,
if you get a chance, there is a
Yes.
request. Can you show how you take the blade off the bottom? One of the owners doesn't know how to do it.
Yes. Right, let's bring you back over here. Okay, how you bring the blade out. So upend your bowl. You've got a little lug here by the handle of the base. So just twist that. Oh, I can't do it facing away from me. I have to do it facing towards me. Let's see if I can just do it like that. So my little lug is here. Just twist and the blade drops out like that. To put it back in. I once described this to Michaela, how to put the blade back in going up the A1. Do you remember that, Michaela, when you just bought your machine?
That was exactly it. That was exactly. Do you know one of the things I didn't know for about 6 months? You can put all that in the dishwasher. I'd been hand washing it.
Yeah, it all goes in the dishwasher. Fantastic, right? So I've got my bread going. I've got my choux done. I've got my hollandaise sauce made. I haven't even really been cooking. Well, I've just been cooking for about over half an hour because obviously I talked to you to start with. But now I am going to go back to my main meal. So that is the salmon with the rice and the vegetables to be served with the hollandaise sauce. So what I'm going to do is call up my week. I'm going to call up my salmon dish. Doesn't that look beautiful? So that's what it's going to look like, hopefully, if you can see it. We've made the hollandaise part of it. So I'm just going to click through that. So you can see the hollandaise sauce recipe has already been made. I've also previously chopped up some coriander and some lemon as well, lemon zest. So I'm going to skip through that just to get things moving a little bit more quickly. Now it wants me to put the simmering basket onto the mixing bowl lid. So the simmering basket, which is over here with rice in it. This is because it's going to weigh as a set of scales. So my scales will reset to 0 and it wants me to weigh in the rice. I've already done that just to speed things up. Okay, so now it gives me this instruction. So this is why it's so good for people that don't know how to cook. Remove the simmering basket, thoroughly rinse rice under cool water until the water runs clear and set aside. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's just move you around. Just move here. I didn't rinse the rice actually because it's not really dry. No, dropped you in the sink and I saw somebody come into my waiting room, I'm sure. Oh, I think I might have missed them. Right, it's not really advisable to rinse the rice too far in advance because it will stick together. So let's just give that a quick bit of a rinse under the tap.
Hi, Bernadette. Did you want to ask something? Do you want to put it in the chat? Bernadette's got her hand raised.
Oh, has she? Oh, maybe did I click something? Bernadette.
That's okay.
Okay, well, maybe I think she'll be able to hear you. But yes, Bernadette, if you want to ask a question, please do. Okay, so that'll do. Just rinsing through that rice. The water's not 100% clear, but I'm happy with that. Just rinses out a little bit of the starch. Okay. So next, now I'm going to put in, so I'm just again following the instructions on the screen. So it's so easy, a child, or dare I say it, a husband. Oops, I can say that because my husband's not here. Can do it. Normally he's loitering around in the background making lots of very negative comments. So I feel like I can get my own back on him when he's not here. So it wants me to weigh in about a litre of water. So let's just reset my scales. Just pour in my water. I haven't quite got enough in there. So I'm just going to top it up with water from the tap. There we go. Oh, not quite there. Actually, there are litre and 2 litre and half a litre markers actually on the inside of the bowl, so I've got a fair idea of where I'm going with it. Of course, now it's not my night actually for overdoing things. I've just overshot it. Oh dear. Right, I've got about 100 grams too much. Never mind. Right, insert the simmering basket for the rice. Now, here I'm going to show you, this is quite exciting actually, because I've never done this dish before, but I'm getting a little bit bored with doing risottos and curries and things at demos, which are really effective because people love to see them, and it's really important to actually show a lot of the features of the Thermomix, but actually it's not so good when you've got to eat all the food yourself. So I thought I'd just go completely off piece and do a recipe I've never done before. Great. But a little bit of Dutch courage and we're all good to go. I'm only joking. Actually, it just shows you how easy and how confident it can make you by tackling new recipes that you haven't done before. So put the simmering basket with the rinsed rice in. Now add over the rice. So it's telling me to add in some onion powder and some garlic powder. Oh, this is a new one on me. Half a teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of onion powder. Half a teaspoon, there we are. 1 teaspoon of onion powder. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. I put in a little bit too much garlic now. Never mind. Ward the vampires away. And some salt. Now, Michaela, where did I put my salt? Here it is.
Yeah, by your sink.
Everybody will say it's behind you. Right, let's put in some salt. And then it says toss with the spatula to combine. So here's my spatula. I'm just going to combine it like that and try not to throw it everywhere. And actually this is really handy because it aerates slightly the rice as well. Okay, so insert the measuring cup into mixing bowl lid. So here's my lid, and it's called a measuring cup because it literally is a measuring cup. So these machines are designed to be as versatile as possible, really, and replace a lot of the kitchen equipment that you've got. I mean, they're egg boilers, they're rice cookers, they're sous vide machines, they're slow cookers, they make yogurt, they're obviously food processors. They can replace many of the functions of your hob. They're blenders as well, they're whisks, you know, they can replace all sorts of stuff, but also they will replace things like colanders and sieves, and in fact measuring cups. So let's put the measuring cup in there to seal it. Now it's just going to give it a little bit of a stir for me. Mix the water through the rice. Oh, my son's coming, he's hoping for a second dinner, I think. Right, I've got somebody coming in, let's just admit Wendy. I haven't made lemonade. No, he's a bit disappointed because I normally make lemonade, but I'm not doing it tonight. But you can make some lemonade if you want later or tomorrow. Right, set Varoma into position. Okay, so here's my Varoma dish. Now this, again, comes with the Thermomix. So all of these attachments are included. There's nothing further to buy apart from just the blade cover. Which was a new accessory developed at the end of last year. It's by no means essential, but some people like to have it if they're slow cooking because it stops the meat being in contact with the blades for a prolonged period of time. And it's also really useful when you're sous videing. But in general, everything else comes with it. So it's asking me to set the Varoma dish in. Click on next. Now, the Varoma dish comes into 2 parts. So here we go, bottom part, which the dish, top part is the tray, and this part is the lid. So I can steam a whole roast chicken in here in 55 minutes. I put my stock or my water in here with some vegetables. 55 minutes later, I have a beautifully succulent, juicy, gorgeous roast chicken and a whole litre of stock to make gravy or do other things like make soup with. Okay, so it wants me to weigh in to this Varoma dish some asparagus. Oh, fabulous. My children are fighting next door now. It's an occupational hazard. That's generally what happens when the teenage comes down. So I'm going to weigh in some asparagus. I'm also going to drop a little bit of broccoli in because I fancy it as well. So that goes in there. Click on next, the Varoma tray. So there's my tray. So these are what these machines are all about. It's this multi-level cooking. So you don't have to get out every pot, pan and bit of utensil that you've got in the kitchen, because it does it all. So here we go. I'm making a stock. I'm steaming rice. I'm steaming vegetables. And now I am going to put some chicken on there. Not chicken, salmon. I'm going to put my salmon fillet. Here we go. 450 grams of salmon straight on the top there. I've seasoned it. I've added a little bit of lemon juice. That's what the recipe has told me to do. But just to speed things up again, I've done it. Then I'm going to put the lid on. Okay, let's get rid of that. And I'll show you my little instruction here. 17 minutes for Roma temperature, which basically means steaming temperature. And then it's told me to turn the speed selector to speed 3. So off it goes at speed 3, steaming until salmon is cooked to your liking. So all in one go, it is going to cook the rice, steam the vegetables, steam the salmon as well. And then we'll serve it at the end with a hollandaise sauce. Right, so that is the main event underway. Now what I want to do is make some creme patissiere and some lemon curd while that's cooking away. Whew. I thought I wasn't going to get round to that, but I am.
You're
I'm
doing really well.
I know, and I've only been going for about 45 minutes, maybe 50 minutes, something like that. So there we go. Right. Unfortunately, my Thermomix, this Thermomix had turned off while I was talking. So, or have I put the wrong bowl in? No, there we go. Right. No, I don't want to resume the recipe. So what I'm going to do is find my creme patissiere recipe. And now my Wi-Fi's dropped. Oh, brilliant. Connecting to Cookie Do. Connected. That's what I like to see. My week. So I'm going to go back. I will blow your mind by how easy creme patissiere is to make. And exactly the same principle with a white sauce, like a bechamel or a cheese sauce, a mornay sauce, or just a simple custard or a creme anglaise. Okay, creme patissiere. Here we go. Launch. Is it going to come on the screen?
It's a bit bright. We can't see it.
Oh, okay. Fine. Here it goes. Start cooking. So it's just going to walk me step by step through it. Put in 500 grams of whole milk. Here's my whole milk. Weigh in 500 grams. So again, using the scales. Click on next. 70 grams of granulated sugar. So again, another way you can save money with a Thermomix, and I know this question was asked before, I'm a scratch cook, how can I save money? You can make your own caster sugar from granulated sugar. So caster sugar is weirdly about, at least 1.5 times the price, if not slightly more than that, the cost of granulated sugar. There's absolutely no difference between them. I can make caster sugar in 2 seconds in my machine from granulating sugar. I can make icing sugar, which is double the price of granulated sugar, in 10 seconds. So you really have no need to buy any other sugar. So, and that's less to store in the cupboard as well. All right. So in goes my sugar. Again, just weighing it straight into my scales. Click on next. Some plain flour. So I've already got that weighed out somewhere. So in the plain flour goes 2 medium eggs and 2 egg yolks. So again, I've already separated these. They all go in. Everything just pushed in together. And then it wants me to put a vanilla pod in, but I'm actually just going to pop a little spot of vanilla paste in.
Hi, Lindsay, we've lost your picture.
Oh, right. Can you see me? Yes, yeah, that's because my battery was low. Fine, I might have to plug in a minute. I'll keep an eye on that. Okay, so vanilla pod has just gone in. So all I've done is weigh everything in. Milk, flour, eggs. It goes against all the rules of how you make these sauces. And then a bit like with the hollandaise, here we go. Turn speed selector to start. And all it's going to do, the thicker mode has come on. All I need to do is find a lid. So here's my lid. My thicker mode is going to come on. I turn a button, I walk away, I go off and do something else. So I can wash up, I can clear up, I can help children with their homework. I can sit down and have a glass of wine. I frequently get pictures of customers actually just sitting there watching television with a glass of wine saying, I'm cooking a risotto, you know, and that's the sort of picture I want to see. It's fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to move across to this final machine, and we're just going to do a little bit of lemon curd because I can. So this just shows you some of the things that you can have a play about with and the versatility of this machine. And also, I've just wanted to do this because they did it on Bake Off on Tuesday and made a complete hash of it. So I'm going to go back to my week, pull up my lemon curd recipe, click start, and you just won't believe this. I'm only going to do a small quantity. Of course, you can do a large quantity. You can use this filling for sort of lemon tarts, lemon meringue pies, deconstructed lemon tarts, all sorts of things. So 75 grams of granulated sugar is going in. Next. Then the thin peelings of lemon. Now this is again another great time-saving tip. You don't have to actually grate and zest lemon anymore, or orange or lime. When you have a Thermomix, you just chuck it in with the sugar and you'll see what happens. Now, where's my lid? It's the story of my life. Oh, here it is, fabulous. You'll see what happens. So what I'm actually going to do is make some caster sugar and just grind up that lemon rind with it. So insert the lid and the measuring cup, turn it up to speed 10. It's going to make a bit of a noise for 20 seconds. Okay, and this is just going to grind it down to very fine sugar so that it dissolves. But it's also got the added benefit is it's grinding up that lemon peel into zest, very, very fine zest. And that goes in. Now, where did I put my lemon juice? I can see it. Okay, so next. That's cooking. So it's almost too easy, isn't it? I've got my salmon, my main meal cooking here. Then I've got my creme pâtissière cooking, my choux pastries in the oven, my bread is rising. Oh yes, vanilla sugar, you can make it exactly the same way. You can make orange sugar. There we are. So that's what it's done to that in just 20 seconds.
That makes your kitchen smell amazing, doesn't it?
I know, it
so
really
gorgeous.
does. Yeah, and there is nothing like it actually. It really is lovely. So it's telling me, I've got an instruction here, scrape down the size of the bowl with the spatula. So again, this is absolutely brilliant. If you've got a child doing it, every single little instruction that they need from how to preheat the oven. And now we've even got, with the new recipes that are coming out, we've even now got how-to videos on the TM6 screen. So if you're not sure of a step, and this generally applies to things like when you're kneading bread, or if you're shaping bread, shaping rolls, shaping baguettes, you can click on the video to launch the video and it will give you a pair of hands and show you exactly how to do that specific technique, which is just brilliant. So again, they're just thinking of everything, and we're constantly reducing releasing new modes, new functionality for these machines. They're a bit like iPhones actually. And we're just delivering new functionality and software through software updates. So you don't need to rush out and buy another Thermomix. I very much doubt there'll be a new model released for at least another, who knows, 5-6 years. They've always said they would leave 5 years between models. Between the 31 and the 5, there was actually 10 years. Then they brought out the 6 within 5 years of the 5. But I mean, honestly, I have no idea how this one could be improved, especially because we're now just adding new features and new functionality almost on a monthly basis through software updates. Okay, scrape down the size of the bowl. Add some eggs, 2 large eggs. Ooh, eggs. Good job I've got them to hand. So crack my eggs in. Oh, sometimes these shells can be really tough actually. So crack the eggs in they go. Click on next. 50 grams of unsalted butter. Okay, well, I'm going to just put in, let's go and get my unsalted butter because that's salted. I'll get that out of the fridge. Little bit of unsalted butter going in. Oh, one more little bit. I have to say, having these inbuilt scales is an absolute revelation, really. It just makes life a lot easier than having to find bowls to weigh things in. Right, juice from a lemon. Now, I did have that and I put it down somewhere. Approximately 40 grams. So it tells me what I'm aiming for. I've got juice from about 2 in here. So I'll just try and put in 40. There we are. So you can make lime curd, orange curd, raspberry curd, all sorts of curds in exactly the same way. You get the general idea. Now all we're doing, so I've just weighed in my sugar, my lemon rind, my butter, my eggs, my lemon juice, put the lid on, click on next, and turn the speed selector to speed 6. So it's going to mix away for me. While it's doing that, I'm going to have a quick look at my shoe buns. Oh, yeah, I think they're done. Here we go. You see those shoes? See my little eclairs?
Wow, they look awesome. God, look at them.
I know, they're really hot, actually.
Can you put it back on the screen? Joseph wants to see them.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you know, I will do. I will. I'm just going to get them out because I've got, hang on, I've got my, woo. Right, all I'm going to do is just set my lemon curd to, she said, scrape down the side. So it mixed it all together for me. And it looks a real curdled mess. I have to say, you think, oh, how on earth is that going to turn to curd? Let me show you that. Right. So it doesn't look great, does it, really? There we go. But 4 minutes later, the magic is going to happen. So let's put that lid back on. And it's almost laughable, really, how easy this is. I'm letting you into all my secrets now. Turn it to speed 4, and it's going to cook for 4 minutes. Right. So these are my little, oh, you see those, Michaela?
Yeah, we can see them.
My shoe.
That's
they're
what we
the
got
rings
to get
that
tomorrow.
I piped. So these, you can then split them. So the way they do Paris breasts is you'd cut them in half, and then you'd fill them with creme patissiere, like a hazelnut praline paste mixed with creme patissiere and fresh cream, and then you just sort of do little chopped nuts on the top. It's absolutely delicious. I made them for my birthday. I have to say it was a labour of love, even with a Thermomix, because there were about, I think I counted, there was something like 15 processes involved, but they were worth the end result. So there are the rings. So that was just 20 minutes in the oven. And these are cooled down a little bit more, so they're okay. The shoe buns, look at those. I perhaps went a little bit over the top with my piping, but all the more filling. You could fill these with ice cream. And there's my eclairs as well. So if I just come back.
Joseph, you're making those tomorrow, look.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, there we go. There's no excuse when you've got a Thermomix. It takes out all that variability. And, you know, it is hard work. I mean, I've done shoe pastry from scratch. I've had loads of failures. And again, if you're a scratch cook, you will undoubtedly have had things go wrong. And that is, again, another way the Thermomix will save you money, because as long as you follow the recipe step by step, you are guaranteed a restaurant quality result. So it minimizes waste. I mean, it would have saved me if I'd have had a Thermomix when I tried that hollandaise sauce and went through about 20 eggs, about 4 pounds on that day. But, you know, and just coming back to that cost, I always say to customers what you really are just aiming to do. So say you are buying your Thermomix on a 3-year plan for £1, it costs you £1.20 a day. That's all on the 3-year plan. That's all you've got to find to save. Well, if you don't save double that by making everything from scratch, your own vegetable stocks, your own yogurts, just by making yogurt, you can save about I've gone through all the numbers left, right, and centre, about £8 a week, and that's on about a family of 4. So there you go. You've just got to do something like that once a day. Use it once a day, and you'll be in the black. But, you know, my aim is not to get my customers just using it once a day. We want to get you using it 5-6 times a day. And as I say to people, nobody puts a Thermomix in a cupboard. It's not one of those appliances that you get and you think, oh, great, I'll just put it in a cupboard. No, it's used day in, day out, multiple times a day, and it will save you lots of money. So let's have a look. I've got 2 minutes going on my creme patissiere. I've got 3 minutes left on my salmon. My lemon curd's cooking. My choux pastry's out the oven. Oh, that's what I needed to do. I need to have a look at my bread now. Yes, it's risen. Okay, so here's my focaccia. Now, just to finish that off, I need to just come back to my recipe actually, and I will plug you in because I'm worried that my phone battery is going to die, which wouldn't be good. So let's plug you in. Okay, so to finish off that focaccia, I'm just going to preheat, put my oven up to full temperature. Then my next instruction was to get her to mix together some olive oil and some water. Now, I'm going to see if I can put my, now I won't be able to put my scales on. I might be able to put my scales onto here. Can I put my scales on? Yes,
You can do it
I'm
on
not
the
above
TM6,
3.
yeah.
Yeah, so there we go. So I've just put my scales on. So you can see I've just got a glass on here, and I'm going to use it as a set of scales to weigh in some olive oil. So 15 grams worth of olive oil and 15 grams of water. So ordinarily, if I had a Thermomix free, I would just be doing this in a Thermomix. But I don't have a Thermomix free because they're all doing stuff. So I'm just going to mix that together. The Thermomix would normally do that for me. There we are. Mix the oil and water together and then just chuck it over the top. I know it defies sort of all logic, really. I'm literally going to put it over the top, and I'll see if I can do it on here for you. So here's my focaccia, which is nicely sort of puffy. I'm just going to pop my fingers into it.
Lindsay, we do have a question about from David again. He's challenging us tonight. He's looking for more chefy, challenging main courses. So the one I was going to say, which is what I did on Saturday, I obviously did. I did my homemade chicken pate in Riesling for starters, and then I sous vide fillet steak. Sous vide fillet steak. I made my own celeriac puree with it, and also I made these little, they're like canapes, which was it's a mushroom, devil mushroom, and Welsh rarebit tart. So that was, so the sous vide steak was served with the celeriac puree and these little Welsh rarebit tarts with the devil mushrooms in them. So there's something I would never have done before my Thermomix. I think that was quite chefy for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's so much stuff on there. We have chefs actually that put entire collections together, how they use their Thermomixes in the restaurants, which you can have a look at. So, you know, there are lots of things to really challenge you creatively. And my neighbour next door has actually got an incredible book. It's not an official Thermomix book, but it's been written by Michelin-starred chefs all around the world, showcasing how they use their Thermomixes in their restaurants. So, you know, there's plenty of options there to challenge you. And it's things like, I mean, it just gives you a little bit of inspiration. I don't know whether you make sourdough, you know, that's something that you can have a go at, certainly. Hang on, I'm just show you what I've done with this. So with my focaccia, I put my oil and water emulsion over the top. I've thrown a load of chopped rosemary and sea salt on it, and now I'm just going to shove it in an oven and bake it. So that is going to go in a hot oven for about 20 minutes. I'll have a look at it. And I mean, I often, just a bit like Michaela, do elements of dishes. So I did a lamb shoulder 2 ways a couple of weeks ago. I had a bit of lamb shoulder that I needed to use up in the freezer. I only did 2 people, so I sort of roasted that in the oven, but then I found an amazing recipe for a carrot and ginger puree to go with it. Now, it blew my mind because I would have never thought to have served a carrot and ginger puree with lamb. It was absolutely delicious, and even my husband, who's a really big sort of naysayer really when it comes to things, I think he just does it to annoy me, but said it was absolutely delicious. And then I served it with a port and red wine reduction, which I had my other Thermomix doing. So again, things that, this was a midweek meal, David, you know, it wasn't something that I put a huge amount of effort into, but I found the inspiration on the Thermomix, and then I had the time with the Thermomix to actually achieve it. Yeah, I mean, sous vide is a great thing. You can sous vide all sorts of stuff. I don't know if you do it at the moment. Fish is a great one.
Oh, he owns a sous vide, he said.
Oh, so he does a sous vide. Who is this? Did David, was David on at the start? Hang on, David, where are you from? Because I don't think I asked you the question at the start. Do you want to just pop that in the chat?
Yeah, he did put it in. I checked his, he said he thinks his girlfriend's linked in with you. I can't find the name now. Is it Rachel? Okay. So he was watching because she's out. Hold on a minute, I think.
Okay, right, yes. I think have you come in via Joanna Hart? That might be the connection, actually. Great. Because I think if you're, yes, from Scotland, yeah, brilliant. No doubt you're coming from Joanna. What else can you do? I mean, I don't know. Do you want to just sort of share with us what sort of things that you know, what you would cook for a really chefy meal? I don't get the point of a sous vide. So if you just want to pop that in the chat, and then I'll handle another question. Yeah, so a sous vide. So sous vide basically is a way of cooking. It just means you cook in a vac sealed bag. If you don't have a vacuum sealer, you can do it in a Ziploc bag, and just means you expel the air and you cook your food in a water bath at a constant temperature. So the benefit of it is that so if you're doing a steak, for example, your steak will be like nothing you've ever tasted before in terms of texture. It will be like butter. So you would cook a sort of steak between 50 and 55 degrees, probably 55 degrees for 40 minutes to an hour in a water bath. And then you would just seal it on the outside in a hot pan just prior to service. And it's something that you often see in you know, restaurants. It's a little sort of chefy technique, but you can do it with fish. You can actually sous vide eggs. You know, there's lots of different things that you can do. But again, we have collections. So if customers don't know what sous vide is all about, go on to Cookie Do and explore the collections. So if I just show you that, and I didn't show you that at the start because I was actually keen to get going, but amazingly, I'm just going to unplug you actually, because I want to take, in fact, no, I won't unplug you. What I will do is bring my machines to you. So here's my lemon curd. So there's the lemon curd. Can you see that? Beautifully cooked. So that I will use, I can fill choux buns with that. I can fill an eclair with that as well. And, you know, the chefs will be using these machines. They won't cook entire meals with these machines. In fact, David, if you had a Thermomix, you could have a go at Heston's meat fruit recipe, which is he has written it down for Thermomix users to do, which is one of his signature dishes at the Fat Duck. So so chefs will use it because there is no other tool like this in order to get purees really smooth. They use it as a bit of a workhorse. They might just whip up a batch of, you know, I know it sounds really boring, but, you know, mashed potato with it, it just takes the effort out of doing a bechamel or a white sauce. They would use it to do something like this, which is a perfect creme patissiere. There's my creme patissiere, beautifully set already, you can see, and just take out that sort of unpredictability from it. So from that creme patissiere, what I will do with that is I will, have I plugged you in? Let me take you, let's take that plug out. Now I've given you a bit of charge. I will just put it into a bowl, and we need to let it go cold. So let's bring you around here. So I will just decant it into a bowl using a clean spatula. That's had my hollandaise on it. I don't want to use that. Let's use the Thermomix spatula. So let's pop that into a bowl. And that's going to set. So we just want to let that cool, but you want to put a little bit of cling film over the top of it, right in contact with the creme pat so it doesn't skin. So you can see I've just got the majority of that out. Oh, I had something on my spatula there. That doesn't look very good. I've got the majority out. What I'm going to do is just pop the rest, pop the bowl back and give it a spin on turbo for about 2 seconds.
Don't you just want to dip your finger in that bowl?
Have I got the right mixing bowl? I haven't got the right mixing bowl. It's told me I put it in the wrong machine. There we go. Sometimes these things are too clever for their own good. Okay, the user's desired. So let me just put my turbo on so I can just spin the blades acts like a bit of a centrifuge, although it doesn't want to do it because my bowl temperature is too hot. So there we go, we've got the safety feature kicking in, but I'll override that and do it on speed 10 for a couple of seconds. So yes, that is beautiful. Now, one thing I like to do with creme pat is do equal quantities of whipped cream and creme patissiere. So David, again, you know, to answer your question, how would you use it? Well, you know, you would actually just use it really to speed up a lot of the everyday processes that you're already doing. And just so that you can attempt kind of more ambitious things, really. That's how I use mine. Right, a little bit of just a bit of neutral oil on there. The machine actually does tell you this, to put a little bit of cling film on there. So you can see, look, I've just spun it all out. So it's off the blades and onto the side. So it means I can just scrape out the rest of it. So there's minimal waste. And do you make things like your own, you know, stock pastes? I'm not talking about like stock, I'm talking about stock paste. So things, something like this, that you can use, which just really gives you huge amounts more flavour. Let me show you, I've got it in here, 2 dishes. So these are one of the things we get customers doing when they first get their Thermomix, make stock paste. So again, a great money saving tip. You can save all your old vegetables up on a sort of, you know, regular basis. And then you put them in your machine, chop them all up with a load of mushrooms, some herbs, some parmesan if you want to use it. Cook it all down with a huge amount of salt for about 40 minutes. So I often go out on a dog walk while it's just cooking it down, and then you end up with this, which is just a delightful sort of vegetable stock, huge kilner jar. So that's nearly it's about 750 grams. This will last you a good few months in the fridge. So there's my vegetable stock one. There's my chicken stock one. So I won't open that up, but I've got a chicken one on the go as well. You can do the same with beef stock as well. You can also dehydrate these in the oven, or if you've got a dehydrator, and make your own sort of stock powder as well, which I've got somewhere in my cupboard, but I won't dig it out now. So there we go. So that's just going to cool down. I'll just leave that open so that the steam escapes. And then I will put that in the fridge, refrigerate that overnight, and then I can use it to fill my eclairs and my choux buns with tomorrow, which I'll probably do on a Facebook Live actually, so people can see how they're actually filled.
Lindsay,
So,
drop off now. David said
okay.
he found your stock thing very interesting. He says he buys bone broth. So I'm going to leave you all now, guys. I can't wait to see Lindsay's photographs. Thanks for joining, everyone. I'll speak to you soon.
I need to put my timer on. Well remembered actually, because I got my bread in there.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Right, thanks, Michaela. Thanks for helping out. Okay, so I think we pretty much. Oh, I was going to say come to the end, but you haven't seen the main meal now, have you? So here's my salmon. Now, what I'm going to do again, showing the versatility of this machine. So this was the lid. It's now become a tray to rest what you could put the entire aroma on it to catch the drips. But there's my salmon, beautifully cooked. Underneath, I've got my vegetables. I don't know if you can see, can you see those? Yeah, beautifully steamed. The steam's coming off of those. Lovely, still beautifully green, very crunchy. That broccoli will be just how I like it. And then inside, I've got the rice. Now, I won't serve it on a plate now, but I'll just show you that rice. And, you know, the rice in the Thermomix, as owners will say, I don't know, Selena, if you've done this, it's absolutely delicious because it's steamed. So each grain is individually defined. So it's a bit like the pilau rice that you get at the Indian. So here's my spatula going in, you know, in Indian restaurants or takeaways. And there's my beautiful rice. So I've got, this would feed at least a family of 4. That's my nearly 300 grams of rice. Beautiful steamed rice. And then that's obviously been seasoned with the onion and garlic. Then just to finish it off, they recommend, and my kids will hate this, so I may not do that, but you put some lemon zest through this. They're sort of rice puree, so I'm only going to put a little bit. So here's my lemon zest that I zested earlier. I pop it in there. I'm not sure about this, but I'm going to trust the recipe. And some coriander, some chopped coriander. And then I'm going to stir that through. So this is just going to lift. I love coriander. Ooh, I said I wasn't going to put much in because that will, you know, upset my children. But there we go. Well, you've got to do things to please yourself, haven't you? So I'm just going to stir through that lemon zest. And again, if I click on next, that's what it will tell me to do. Remove aroma, set aside, remove the simmering basket, transfer steamed rice to a bowl and toss with the reserved lemon and coriander mixture. So I'm not going to put it in a bowl because I won't serve it now, but what I will do is serve it and put it on my Facebook page, which is the Thermomix Whiz customer group, a little bit later on. So that's the lemon and coriander rice. And then of course, it's going to be served with this beautiful hollandaise. David, I don't know if you were on the call earlier, we made hollandaise as well. I've just kept keeping that warm in a food flask. And that is what the finished picture will look like. There we are. So yeah, I don't know if you can see all that. So that really is the Thermomix. Now I'm just going to have a quick look through any comments. Now, the only other thing to say, I know we talked about cost a lot and offsetting the cost of it. We do occasionally have special offers on Thermomix. This month, we've got an offer on stoneware. So we launched a lovely stoneware collection at the beginning of the month, which complements your Thermomix. There's 4 pieces in the collection, and they are a fantastic value actually. If you buy it in a bundle with the Thermomix. So until the 31st of October, when you buy a bundle, you've got either 10% off one of the pieces, or if you buy all 4 pieces together, you can get them for £135, which works out at about £30 each. This is, just going to see if I can pull it out of my cupboard. I've got it in my, this is one of them. I mean, they're fantastic quality. If anybody has had any pampered chef pieces, that's the flat baking tray. We've got pizza stones, flat baking tray, we've got a large casserole dish and a covered baker, and the idea is they sort of complement the food that you make in the Thermomix and you're able to bake in the oven with them. So there's some really good discounts off of those if you bundle them together with the Thermomix until the 31st of October. We've had, you know, occasionally we have interest free. So our APR, if you go do a spread payment plan, is 9.9%. We usually get interest free about once a year. It's just happened in September, so we're unlikely to get that back again until the middle of next year. And I think we're unlikely, knowing what I know about Thermomix, to have any offers running into November and December, because they are usually our busiest months for sales. Oh, so Sally said thank you. So yes, all I need to really do now is, if you've been directed to this demo by an advisor or somebody that you know, please go back to them. So you would order that machine through the advisor and then they're on hand to help you. Obviously, if you've come to it because you've seen it on Facebook or you've been directed to it through one of our mutual contacts, then you would come to me. And yes, I hope to see some of you in our lovely community as owners very soon. And it would be a pleasure to accompany you on your journey. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Has anybody got any further questions or comments that they would like? Gosh, 109 messages in the chat. So payment plan. So Michelle, yes. So Selena said, yeah, thanks, Lindsay. Thanks, everybody. Can you cook meat with bones? Yes, you can actually, Lolita. I don't know if you're still on here. You can cook chicken drumsticks in there, and you can put in, you can also steam sort of chickens and gammons and legs of lamb actually in that Varoma unit as well. So yes, you say I doubt it, but be amazed if you can. The answer is yes. I've tried steamed veggies in Varoma. Okay, and you can do poached eggs. Yes, absolutely. You can do poached eggs, you can do steamed eggs, you can do boiled eggs. So one of the new things we've got is this egg boiler mode, which means you can dictate exactly how you want your yolk with no variability. Okay, so I don't get this. And I think Michaela's, I'm just scrolling back up through the chat. More chefy dinners, fantastic. So who have I still got with me? Has anybody got any further questions? Have you? So for those that aren't owners already, has this demo kind of made you think, oh, actually the Thermomix is something that I need to look at, and I would like in my kitchen, because I hope so. I hope I've inspired you. I was once sitting in your position a few years ago. It took me 5 years to buy my first Thermomix, and I bought my first Thermomix as an owner. And a lot of my customers take a little while as well, and invariably the one thing that everybody says is they wished they hadn't waited so long. Need to convince the husband. Yeah, you need to get him to watch this demo. So I'll post a link to the recording on my customer group a bit later. So Lolita said, I've just super underutilized. Yeah, lots of people. I think you'll find if you're one of my customers, you won't be underutilizing your TM6s. That's my job, to help you get the most out of it. But I do appreciate we are not all the same as advisors.
Can I just say, I'm going to go now,
yeah.
but thank you ever so much. That's been really, really helpful. I have actually tried twice now the salmon with sticky tomato glaze.
Yeah.
And it's delicious. The salmon
Fantastic.
is so moist. It's lovely. But thank you again. And I'll still continue watching you on Facebook. But thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Anne.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Excellent.
Okay. Anyone else? Yeah. Bye-bye.
I'm going to go now. Thank you, Michelle. I will.
Bye. Thanks, David.
Right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Right, I'll close this down. I think everybody's gone.